After months of waiting, hundreds of thousands of coronavirus deaths and millions of people put out of work, Congress is finally set to pass the second round of aid during the pandemic. The $900 billion package includes $600 direct payments for all adults who made less than $75,000 last year, as well as another $600 for each of their children. It also extends an unemployment insurance bonus of $300 per week through mid-March. The first vote is expected from the House in a few hours, and senators say they are ready to stay through the night to get the bill passed and sent to President Trump's desk. In total, about a third of the entire package will go to small business aid. There's also funding for testing, tracing, and vaccine distribution, as well as an extension of a nationwide eviction moratorium, but only until the end of January. CBS News Chief Congressional Correspondent Nancy Cordes joins me now from Capitol Hill. Hi, Nancy. So after the first round of pandemic aid was signed into law in March, lawmakers waited months to start negotiating again. Then came the election and government funding deadlines. Today, there were technical difficulties. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I mean, this was a simple IT glitch that failed them today and delayed the release of this massive 5,000-page coronavirus relief bill. They were simply trying to upload it and ran into some problems. But it is out now, and lawmakers are scrambling to pass this bill, which almost none of them have actually read. And that is because we are now so close to the Christmas holiday. This is coming so much later than leaders had hoped. It took them days longer to negotiate and come to a deal than they initially expected. And so now they're moving with haste. And in fact, the Treasury Secretary said today in an interview that the first stimulus checks could go out actually next week once the president signs this into law.
And the coronavirus vaccination rollout is just beginning and will continue well into next year. Nancy, does Washington expect this round of stimulus to be enough to help those in need, or is it widely expected that they will be at this again in January or February?
Well, Democrats certainly don't believe it's enough. It's about a third of the size of the Democratic bill that passed in the House in the summer, and Democrats are bitterly disappointed that this bill isn't larger, but it was a compromise with Republicans who wanted to spend a good deal less than this. And so while Republicans are not necessarily in a hurry to cut another relief deal, they have left open that possibility, while Democrats are pretty openly arguing that there are some big gaps here in this relief package. For example, the bill really doesn't do anything to send money directly to state and local governments that have been hard hit by this pandemic, who might be considering laying off or furloughing frontline workers like police officers or teachers. And so Democrats argue that the next bill, if there is one, really needs to do something about that. They ran into a lot of resistance among Republicans with that proposal. There's a $120 billion restaurant relief fund that had been proposed. There are thousands of restaurants that have already gone out of business. This was a potential lifeline, but that didn't make it into the bill either. So Democrats are already campaigning for the next big relief package, and Joe Biden, the president-elect, has said basically the same thing, that he thinks that this is just the start. But if Republicans maintain control of the Senate, that is going to be a very tall order. Just keep in mind, it took the two sides, Tanya, 9 months to get this package over the finish line. So the notion that, they're going to come together to pass another big bill in the new year it's pretty far-fetched.
For sure. And Nancy, do we have a sense of whether or not this aid package may have come a little too late for some, since a number of provisions from the previous package ran out months ago?
There's no question that it is coming too late for some small businesses, for some individuals who have already racked up huge amounts of debt, whose credit has been destroyed, who in some cases fell so far behind on their rent or their mortgage that they were threatened with eviction. There's just so much desperation in this country. You've seen, and you're seeing there, the long lines for food in this country. The bill contains about $13 billion to plus up food stamps and child nutrition programs, but the need is great. Let me give you one example. There's about $25 billion in this package for rental assistance. But according to the experts we've spoken to, Americans are about $70 billion behind in their rent at this point, often through no fault of their own. They lost their jobs. Their jobs were casualties of this pandemic. And so the need is just so much larger than the Band-Aid that this relief bill provides. And I remember interviewing people back in July when their $600 a week federal unemployment benefits were running out. And so many people told me, well, I hope that they renew it soon because I can go a couple of weeks, but after that, I will be completely out of money. Now here we are almost 6 months later, and they're finally seeing that money again, but this time it's just $300 a week, not $600 a week, and it's only going to last about 2.5 months. So it's better than nothing, but still a lot less than many people tell us they need.
Absolutely. And Nancy, after this bill passes, lawmakers head home until January. So what comes next?
Well, all eyes will be on those runoffs in the state of Georgia, 2 Senate runoffs that will decide the the control of the Senate, and those take place just after Congress comes back in the new year. So yes, Congress will be back, but everything will essentially be frozen around here because neither party knows which of them will be taking control of the Senate come the first or second week in January. And so that really freezes things. It causes major confusion, particularly for the incoming Biden administration. They will have to have all of their cabinet members confirmed. They don't know whether they're going to be doing that in a more friendly Democrat-controlled Senate or a Republican-controlled Senate. That experience will be vastly different for those cabinet members, that confirmation process, if this is a Democrat-controlled Senate. So all eyes are on those 2 runoffs, and we really won't know what the balance of power looks like here in Washington until those 2 races take place.
Absolutely. All eyes indeed are on Georgia. Nancy Cordes on Capitol Hill, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, Tanya.